Hello, everybody. Stu Smith and Jeff Nichols here with the Tactical Fitness Report. And today we're going to talk about zero tolerance. That's right. Drugs and alcohol in the Navy, right? It's a big issue. And unfortunately, I see a lot of good recruits have to deal with trying to get waivers I think they call them moral waivers. If you've been arrested, for drinking and driving, or you've had a drug offense, open container, possession, whatever those are, they can really screw up your process of getting in, if even getting in. I mean, you're going to need, you're going to need a big silver bullet, to come in firing your way to help you do that. That might require an admiral letter of recommendation, something like that, that's going to vouch for you.
Very well may require you actually, and we just kind of covered this topic, you may have to join the Navy, stay clean for a little while before you even get, that might have to be, there's no way, you're not going to walk in a recruiter and they're going to go, well, you got to spend 4 years in the Navy for us to figure it out. But that might actually be your only option. If you, again, so here's the thing, my 2 cents is this, is that the SEAL community doesn't want angels. They may not say that, and those are my words.
Well, you know what I always say? We're not looking for choir boys.
Yeah. But at the same time, there is a big difference in my eyes between an irresponsible young adult trying to escape all their problems, getting into trouble, directly correlated to their alcohol and drug use. And the reason why Stu and I are kind of talking about this is because he and I both get questions. We get them from really the one individual type of individual is that their drug and alcohol consumption is at a height, whatever that means, to where they're looking for us to go, hey man, it's okay. Yeah, you can have, you can go out on the weekends and blow off some steam and drink a little bit too much or use a little bit too much of this, and you're good to train. It's not going to impede you. They're not going to get that answer from me, and they're certainly not going to get it from Stu. No. Are we saying, hey, man, you're 21 years old, so you're of age, you're out with friends at a barbecue and you have a beer or two? Not an issue. But those people aren't the ones asking that question because they know it's not an issue.
Right.
It's the ones that every weekend on Friday and Saturday night are getting hammered.
Yeah.
And on they're spending all of Sunday trying to recover so they can get back to training on Monday. But they're not back to normal homeostasis till Wednesday.
Yeah. And you know what? I see a lot of times on social media, memes and funny posts about, going to your PT hungover. You're not in the military unless you do this, and that's really irresponsible. I mean, it's not healthy. You're probably dehydrated more than you've ever been, at that moment. And you're probably susceptible to heat stroke and heat exhaustion type issues. And it just sucks. Are you tougher because you've done it? I don't know. I mean, it's going to suck for you. That's for sure. I saw a great presentation yesterday by one of your friends, Dan Luna.
Yep.
And he mentioned about, he's still a SEAL, but he mentioned about when your day starts. He asked the group at this leadership conference, when does your day start? And like somebody said, as soon as I wake up. He goes, well, let me tell you this. How about you and I tonight, we go over to the local bar here in Annapolis and we just tear it up and burn it down, right? We get about an hour's night's sleep, and then I got to go to work. You have to go to school the next day. How are you going to feel? You're going to feel pretty bad, right? So your morning, your day does not start first thing in the morning. It starts the night before you go into bed, because that sleep is critical, especially if you are busting it hard with these training workouts that you're borderline overtraining anyway, to prepare yourself for this type of selection program.
Yeah.
And you need every bit of recovery you can get. Now, is a beer or two a big deal? No. I always joke around, hey, there's a sandwich in every beer, right? Especially if you drink a Guinness, right?
Yep.
I drink one of those, I'm fine. Drink two of them, I'm a little bit too much. But I mean, the next day you're not going to be able to eat very well because your stomach's all messed up. And you just feel like crap. And you gotta spend the whole day, hydrating. So
Yeah.
anyway, it messes up. Let's talk about it physiologically. What's going on in your body? Whenever you have that kind of a burnout hangover, you stayed out till 3 a.m. and now you're hungover.
Yeah, I mean, here's the thing is, with alcohol, with OH, they're on the chemistry side, having that OH minus in your blood, minus, right? You're getting acidic. You're getting biochemically, your blood is a little more acidic. I always talk about buffering and getting that hydrogen ion out. Well, that's what you've just done. You've just created a sense of hydration, not from depleting water, but adding a substance into your body that forces hydration to be stifled. So it's twofold. If you were dehydrated before drinking and then you add, now you got to remove something. Okay. So it's, again, by no means also am I talking about SEALs. I'm not talking about Navy SEALs. I'm not talking about the grown men that have already gone through the gauntlet and then are stationed at a team. And that's a totally different responsibility and different conversation that I'm going to have with my junior guys. I'm talking about those people that are saying, hey, I really want to get into the community. I really want to get into the military. What is it going to take? Well, I always say you just got to focus, because that's what we're looking at. We're looking at people willing to make that sacrifice to get to that point. And then so from the standpoint of physiology is we want to get you owe it to that community to give it your best. And drinking too much, whatever that means, I don't need to define it because you know what your limitation is. Okay. And as far as recreational drug use, there's not really a way for me to have a conversation to ever justify that from the standpoint of physiology. Like it's, you're not going to be able to consume heroin, cocaine, marijuana, any of those sort of things and still perform at a high level.
Plus they're illegal.
That's the other side. And that's outside of like Denver, right? Or outside of Colorado.
Oh, that's good point.
But at the same time, though, we've got to look at it like, because I've heard this argument. Well, Michael Phelps used marijuana. Michael Phelps wasn't smoking weed before he got on the starting blocks. Okay, Michael Phelps was at a party, and he himself had to deal with that fallout and those consequences. Let's not make that argument. We are talking about in this hypothetical sort of world of people using alcohol and drugs of sorts while they're trying to train for a special forces program. And when Stu and I always talk about the word optimal. Use of those drugs and the alcohol is not optimal for that. Okay? Again, after the fact, you're a grown man or woman. You figure it out. But right now, we are telling you that if you really, really want to give your body every opportunity to recover, to perform, and repeat those things, I would suggest curbing or throttling way back on your consumption.
Yeah. And you know what? Every group of friends needs a designated driver. Yeah. Be that guy. Be the guy that's responsible, is going to take care of all your buddies that are going to be acting like idiots. But anyway, that's fun. People who are drunk entertain me thoroughly. Yeah. I don't have to be drunk to enjoy it.
If you are emotionally in a position that you can't go out with your friends and stay under control, you are going to have a really, really hard time fitting in with the population that Stu and I serve, because you need to be able to think for yourself. If you can never control yourself, you can't control yourself in those social situations, you're not going to be very well trusted, because you don't get rid of that. If you can't control yourself when you're young, and that behavior perpetuates through young adulthood,
and gets worse.
It's going to, because you're going to have less and less eyes on you the longer you get into the community. So what do they say? Character is not what you do when people are watching, but it's what you do when nobody is.
Yeah.
And that's the thing with alcohol and drug use is, again, I'm no angel, and I know you guys have heard me talk about my use of opiates in the past. I'm not super ashamed about it, probably because I took control of it. And had you asked me that question when I was using my pain meds, again, mine started from my pain. I was a little bit ashamed of it at the time, but so that's why I'm standing here saying, listen, I firmly believe, had I not gone down that road as severely as I did, well, let me back that up. That seriously impeded my longevity in the community. That's my point.
Yeah.
And I know guys that the vast majority of guys that spend 15 or more years in the community, almost all of those guys have completely stopped drinking. And there's a reason for it, is because they cannot continue to do the job at the highest demands and be hungover and drunk all the time. Like almost all of the team leaders, assistant team leaders, troop chiefs, and up in the community, like they'll have some beers, like on the weekends and stuff, but those guys are sober as a jaybird, man, at the command I came from, for the most part.
Yeah.
Just because you can't be 42 years old and hungover every day.
No, it hurts. It hurts. When you're 22, it doesn't hurt at all. It really doesn't. I mean, I think that's why, some of the younger guys can do that. I mean, I remember being young and stupid. I was a rugby player. What do you do after a rugby game? You party with the rugby team, and
you got to numb it a little bit.
That's what you do. But at the same time, I was also preparing myself for buds. And so, not every time, I wasn't an angel every time, but majority of the time I was the guy that was going to get people back to the Naval Academy, or I was going to get them back to wherever, I was going to be the sober guy to take care of them.
The same. Like I literally didn't drink a drop of alcohol. So one of my closest friends, on his 40th birthday, which was 2.5 years ago, I took my first drink. Same thing. My second drink I ever took was I was in Morgan Luttrell's wedding. It's the second drink I ever took. And again, this is not me standing there going, see guys, I didn't drink and you can do. I just really felt like I could not perform my job the best way I could if I was hungover. Like I just never felt like I could. I just didn't want to do it because it meant too much to me.
Yeah.
That's all.
Yeah, that's really good. Yeah, so anyway, we call this one zero tolerance. And, when you're at Bud's, you're going to have an opportunity to go out on the weekends. You can go out and eat dinner. You can go out and do whatever. You can go out to the bars if you want to. But just remember that, your ability to recover is limited to that weekend, that Saturday and Sunday.
This is probably a safe bet. As far as drugs are concerned, that's legitimately a zero tolerance in the Navy.
Yeah. Before or after, I don't recommend that at all. I mean,
and when you're at Bud's, here's the deal. If you show up hungover to an evolution and you are found out, you will be out of Bud's and packed up so fast that you're done. Like now, are there guys that have gotten away with it? Yes. Is that is so far on the extreme of something that you shouldn't depend on? Because I know for sure guys in my Bud's class, because there was one guy, he had been through Hell Week and got rolled from an injury. And so we were halfway through second phase, and basically on Sunday, I think he played golf all day, got real drunk, went into the night, we had an early, like a 5 a.m. run the next morning. He showed up with alcohol on his breath. He was out. His shit was packed up, and he was out of buds before that afternoon.
Wow.
So because you guys got to understand this is the Naval Special Warfare Center, right? The Buds Center, the schoolhouse of SEAL training and Buds. Those Master Chiefs and O6s and the Admirals there in San Diego, they are going to do their utmost. Like, it's on a priority. They are not going to let students go through that early on, because this is was put best to me. Let me tell you something, and this is one of the best things I learned for you all that are not in the active duty service yet. The civilian population does not distinguish between a Bud student, an SQT student, or a SEAL. They all are seen the same way. So if a Bud student gets in trouble, Naval Special Warfare, the SEAL community takes the hit, not Buds.
Yep.
Right? So if guys get stupid and go to Tijuana or go to National City or go to Fashion Valley or go to these places in Coronado, get drunk and get in a fight, because the newspaper is going to say Navy SEAL assaults, right? It's not going to say Bud student, because the world doesn't know what a Bud student is. So they call them SEALs. And so you are representing the SEAL community as a Bud student, even if you're not a SEAL. So the Admirals and Master Chiefs are not going to tolerate it.
Mm-mm.
They will chop your legs out from under you, and they are going to go to their utmost to bury you. And that's what I would do. If I was a Master Chief and you had someone acting the fool out in town, I would go out of my way to end your naval career, because that's what they have to do to protect the community. Now, when you're a SEAL and you do stupid shit, the team, it's on that team to take care, like the Master Chief or the commander of that team. And then hopefully, if it goes beyond that, it's going to go to the Commodore, the Admiral, whatever it may be. But that's my soapbox speech is, if you're going to play rough, understand that there's a real consequence there. And there's the administrative side. That's what their job is to do, is to make sure that those students do not tarnish the community.
Yeah.
As well as teach them and get them through.
Yeah.
It's not doom and gloom, but.
Yep. And I tell you what, drinking and driving, that will ruin you. You get busted for drinking and driving, you probably won't even make the next rank. Yeah. If you're an E3, you're probably not going to make E4. If you're an ensign, you're not going to make a JG. Yep. You definitely won't be staying at Buds.
If you get a DUI, you will go to captain's mast, and it will not be in your favor.
Yeah,
you will go to mast. I know of 2 guys that went to mast for DUIs, and one of them, it was a second offense. He was at 19 years.
Oh.
They kicked him out at 19 years.
Oh shit.
Yep. So nothing, no retirement, no any, like, at 19 years, man. So
plus it costs so much money. You got to get a lawyer out in town. You're probably going to spend $5-6 grand. You got to go to alcohol counseling. It's
there's a real chance that you're going to get out processed at the Navy, lose your trident. At the very least, you will lose rank. And when you lose rank, your year group will pass you by.
Yeah. And
when your year group passes you by, when it comes to the eval situation, you're not only screwed for that year, but you're like EP, MP, must pronounce, all those sort of things. You're going to get all the way down to P, a promotable, which is basically a strike against you.
Yeah, it's like getting a D in a class.
Yeah, that's going to put you behind for the next year group, because now you are a more senior E5, we'll call it, and junior E5s on their evals will have jumped you. So you actually lost out at least 2 years of evals. So now you're behind 2 years in your year group as an E5, trying to play catch up, and they're like, okay, maybe now you're E6 promotable after 2 years. And by that point, you should be 6 months before you make board for chief.
Yeah.
And now you're trying to make E6.
You probably missed your LPO slot.
Yep, you
as
did.
well, leading
Yep.
petty officer in a platoon. Yep. Yeah.
So there are some real consequences, folks. And again, I'm not saying you should be like me in the sense of don't ever touch alcohol and those sort of things. It's not what I'm saying. What's not what Stu is saying. We're saying before you come in the Navy, keep your wits about you, be responsible, because that's going to carry over into your military service. And when you get there and you get into the community, you will get a really good mentoring of what you can and can't do.
Yeah.
Okay. And you believe me, you guys as SEALs or future SEALs or SF guys or whatever it is, you will get plenty of opportunity to blow off some steam within the realms of acceptability.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's fun.
It is. The community does a really good job about having a good time. I will say that. But it's guys really take care of each other. Okay. Yeah. And if you can't take care of yourself, people you're not going to get the opportunity to take, because as a new guy, it's going to be mandated. You're not drinking. You're not doing this because you're going to be taking care of some of the older guys.
Yep.
And if you screw that up, you're going to have a really rough first 2 years in the teams.
Yeah. That's a good point.
Anyways, that's kind of my thoughts, folks.
I think too, you will see if you've had any of these problems as a civilian, whether it's high school or college, even a juvenile, underage drinking and driving, any type of possession, anything, and you go to a recruiter.
Yeah. Oh man, we didn't even touch on that.
I mean, good luck. Good luck getting in. I mean, that's another one that is. I mean, I have seen waivers go through for those type of things. I had this one guy that just wanted to serve, was considering SEALs and had some. I think he had 3 open containers. And he went to a college that was a beach, on a beach, and they get arrested all the time, evidently. But 3 open containers, and that was it. Didn't have a DUI or anything like that. Had the hardest time getting into the Navy. In fact, at that point, the Navy didn't even take him, and he wound up going Army.
Same. I had the exact same thing. He ran cross country at Virginia Tech. Man, he's running a sub 7 mile and a half, right?
Damn.
Yeah, like smoking fast, right? He's doing 25 pull-ups, all these sort of things, crushing it. He had he got a possession charge of marijuana in college, right? So again, we're talking about a 21-year-old man, got a possession charge, got a second one right before he graduated. Navy wouldn't take him. Like he was in the process. He had already auto-qualled.
Right.
He got his possession charge. The Navy dropped his contract. And then they're like, well, you can still join the fleet. And he's like, no, I don't want to do that. Yeah. Right. So he dropped out of the Army, dropped out of the Navy contract, got into the Army, but he still had to go through those waiver processes. Now, this is not saying, hey, the Navy's better though.
No.
The policy is just different. And now, do I think that he should have been dropped? No, because I know him. Like I know what kind of guy he is, and I don't demonize stuff like that necessarily. He made some mistakes, but the Navy is going, hey, the demand to be a SEAL is way up here. Like
they can be picky.
There's 20,000 Green Berets, something like that. There's 17,000 something Green Berets.
Yeah.
There's almost 40,000 Rangers. Okay. There's less than 3,000 SEALs. Yeah. But there are more people that want to be SEALs than there are Green Berets, right? So numerically, there's there's 600 every 9 weeks or something like that trying to get into those slots.
Yeah.
There's not as many. There's a lot that are going to SF. Yeah. They're not as many. So that's what it's a supply and demand issue.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
This guy that got a possession charge who auto-qualled, they were like, well, we got 300 more dudes that just auto-qualled for a BUDS contract. Right. Oh, well.
Yeah.
Tough shit.
Yeah.
So keep that in mind. You screw up, there are 100 people that are exactly like you trying to get your spot.
That didn't get in trouble.
That's perfect. Yeah. So, folks, You are in control. You have no one to blame.
It's all about choices.
Yep. So, and I'll leave you on a funny note. My son's quote of the day. He says, "My day just doesn't feel complete unless I've had a poop at least once." So, wisdom of a 10-year-old. So he's got it figured out, folks. Don't do drugs and have a good morning poo before you go off to work at school.
I like that one.
So, just don't be. We're not actually asking you guys or not expecting you guys to be perfect, but understand that your choices as a 16-year-old high school student certainly can affect your lifestyle choices when you're 20.
Yeah.
They're there, folks. I mean, it sucks kind of, but again, there is a large population of people that aren't doing it so they can achieve those goals. And if you make those choices and you have a hard time getting towards your goal, no one to blame but yourself.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. In the end, it just doesn't pay.
Yeah.
You're jeopardizing your future every time you do that. Especially if you're underage. Nowadays it's not the same in the 80s. In the 80s, people didn't care. Drinking age was 18 back then. It was just.
It's a different world, and we've got to take certain things seriously because it's not a game.
Yeah.
So,
all right, Jeff, that's enough of our soapbox, I think.
I think so too. So shoot us the questions in the comments of things you want us to cover, and we will do our best.
All right. Hey, man, thank you.
Appreciate it, Stu.
We'll see you.